He's an experienced cybersecurity manager with more than 10 years of practice, and he's gathered this experience by working in EU-level institutions, national governmental agencies, as well as in the academic and private sector. In the last 8 years, Dan has had different cybersecurity roles, such as technical director at CertRow, and major incident reporting responsible, sorry, it's been a long 2 days, within ENISA. Currently, he's a security program manager for Secureworks, and hopefully he'll help us answer one of the more challenging questions in cybersecurity, which is why haven't we solved security yet? So please welcome Dan Tofan.
Thank you. Kaspersky, and some names, and some dates. Okay. So hi everybody. You are all heroes. This is the last presentation, you know, huh? So, I mean, you could have gone a long time ago. You really liked this, no? So, you enjoyed it, huh? Okay. So, I'm done. And we're going to talk about, we're going to do a bit of, I don't know how to call it, but deep dive into cybersecurity, something that is not technical. So I believe I will take you to areas where you haven't been before, looking at the bigger picture, as you said, looking into the short history of cybersecurity, the business analysis, and a drop of technical assessment. I think you had enough of technical assessments today, enough technical presentations, so we're not going to touch too much technical stuff here. So you already did my intro. So I worked in CERT Romania for a couple of years, then ENISA, the EU Cybersecurity Agency, and then now I'm Secureworks, a security program manager here in SCOE. That's the Romanian Bucharest branch of Secureworks. So about Secureworks, you have seen probably some of these stats from my previous colleague that was yesterday, Chris Yule. So we are a global cybersecurity company offering all kinds of services to all kinds of customers. Around 4,000 customers worldwide, 310 billions of security events that we process daily, 600 plus security analysts only in Bucharest, and around 2,000 worldwide. 20 plus of history behind, 20 years plus of history behind, so we have a lot of telemetry. Okay. A bit of Secureworks in the news that we had this year. And let's go down to business now. So short history, how it all started. So, you know, the old guys like me, because I do consider now that I'm an old guy, I'm not going to fall, price history a bit, because it's important. It's important to know where you started, and it's a way to maybe determine where you will reach. So we started in 1953 with the first commercial computer, IBM 701. And then around 20 years after, we realized, humanity, when I say we, it's not me or Secureworks necessarily, so we realized that we can connect computers into networks, and then we had ARPANET, Cyclades, and Telenet. And then in 71, the first virus appeared. 1 year after, so not too long away. Creeper was not actually a virus, so it was, you know, the guys there, they just wanted to see if you can program a software to run from a computer to another one, I don't know how to call it, to go from one to another. So they just tried that, and they succeeded, and it went out of control, of course. And then they had to make another virus, which was called Creeper, just to eliminate the first one. In 1982, TCP/IP became a standard, so everybody was talking the same language. And then we had more viruses, and then we had Morris worm, which basically started the first, it was the start of the first, let's say, bigger action against cyber security, cyber crime, let's say. It was not crime at that point, not even Morris. It was not necessarily, they didn't have malicious intentions. So it was CERT-CC, so the CERT Coordination Center, the Carnegie Mellon one, was established. And then internet, in 1995, internet was about 5.8 million hosts, so it was not too large. 1999, Secureworks appeared, so the business industry, the security business industry started to appear and to grow. And then we have 2000, we have started seeing several companies being attacked. And then in 2001, it's a milestone because the world realized the potential damage that cybercrime can do, and we had the Budapest Convention of Cybercrime, which is now translated in laws and national laws in many countries, above 100, 140 and something. And then we have botnets appeared, 2003. And then we have the first country getting attacked, 2007, Estonia. And then we have Configure, so more victims, more botnets, more malware. And then we have Stuxnet, the first cyber weapon in 2010. So everything grows, and it grows. And then we had Sony PlayStation attack that was mentioned before in the presentation before. What Sony PlayStation attack, what this attack managed to bring to our attention is that it brought cybersecurity to the main agenda, to the business agenda, because people realized, man, they can really take us down with a cyber attack. And Sony was a big company, I mean, and they still are. So, and then we had the Snowden effect. So, the whistleblowers, people starting to, revolt against injustice done by in some areas. And then we had heartbleed bug, so what you can do with a small bug like this. And then we have a big move from NATO, which declares in 2016, which declares the cyber as the new battlefield. So now we have 5 of them. So it's air, land, water, and cyber. And then we have Eternal Blue, so the one below, 2017. The leaked exploit from NSA, and then we have the WannaCry, and then in 2018, EU first it's also a first move, not necessarily the first, but a big move in this area with the NIS directive and the GDPR. So if you take it from the beginning until the end, a graphical representation of what happened will look like this. So we started small, with insignificant malware, not targeting financial aspects mainly. Then we go to identity theft, phishing, 2004, 2007, and then attacks becoming more complex, and then even more complex, and present day when we have keylogger, Bitcoin wallet, ransomware, cyber warfare, so we are talking about cyber warfare now, so things are becoming more and more complicated. This is a chart showing you the threat actors evolution. So it dates back from 2010. Before 2010, it was not organized crime in the first place. It was mainly not even activists. It was kiddies. I mean, it was different. But now we have organized crime. So organized crime realized the potential of this, let's call it business, and they started taking advantage of it. And then we have state-affiliated, meaning that they also realized this as if they didn't know. So this is then a picture showing you the data breach evolution. And you can find, in all of the slides, you will find in the notes the sources. So you can find this online. And basically, you will see, you'll have here, I don't know if you have laser, it's not very visible. So you have the ear, another ear, and many bubbles, meaning a breach. And the bigger the bubble, the bigger the breach. So it's all getting worse. You have more and bigger bubbles. So as conclusions on the history part, on the historical part, so fast growth led by the expansion of the internet, increase in sophistication and volume, so more and more sophisticated. So they become complex, they become real experts in what they do, hackers, and also the defenders. And the switch in business motives. So we go to script kiddies to nation states. We go to the second part now, which is the business analysis. And we're going to look into 5 metrics. It's like the incident cost, the spending that we do on cyber, the investments, the budget, and the workforce. You'll have some stats here. Again, you have the sources. You can check them out later. So incident cost. There are different, statistics or figures out there regarding the incident cost, and they vary a lot. From experience, I can tell you that, I mean, I've done stuff like that working for ENISA, so incident cost, whenever you find it, it's not a very reliable indicator or a metric, because you can never measure the incident cost very accurate. But there are people saying that by 2021 we will have a 6 trillion damage cost per year. Then they say that it's a 3.86 million average cost per data breach, and a 30 million average cost per company per year. This is the slide related to the incident cost. So 145 number of security breaches per company, this is the average that they say, and 13 million the average cost. So it varies from 2018 is this one, so from 8 to 18.5. It depends on the industry. Okay, we go back to spending. So spending, we have another estimate of $120 billion per year, total spending in cybersecurity. Is this big, small? How do you think? What do you think about this? Do you know what's the GDP of Romania? What is the GDP of Romania? $160 billion. So they are almost there. And 1 trillion estimate until 2021. So basically they say it will grow, it will grow, it will grow. The spending slide I have, no, I don't have a spending slide, sorry. Okay. We go to investment. Investment, I have this slide for investments. In 2018, we had investments, the ones that were recorded and the ones that were big enough to matter, of $5 billion per 350 companies, global. And you can see it's growing. We have statistics since 2014, and it's growing. A steady growing, as we say. Sorry. And then we go to budget. So how much do we spend on cybersecurity? And you're not going to find an accurate figure because, of course, it depends on from company to company. There are small companies, big companies, but you will find percentages out of total IT budget. And on this area, we have this slide showing you that it's up to 38% of the total IT budget that goes into cybersecurity. You will find newer sources that mention that it's even higher than the total IT budget, the cybersecurity. It depends, again, from company to company. But what we have at Secureworks is this. It depends, again, on the branch of on the industry, retail being the first one, then telecom, technology, and manufacturing on the third place. And then we go to the skill gap. I mean, basically, you can see it, the skill gap. I mean, even if you go here around the corner to the other room where you have the stands, you'll see everybody trying to hire people. So there is a skill gap. We don't know how big it is. Some say it's 3.5 million unfilled jobs by 2021. There are other articles there that don't give exact figures. Based on our Secureworks statistics, it's about around 1.8 million jobs that are unfilled at this point. And then there is the cybersecurity landscape, the vendor landscape. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with this. It's pretty popular, this cyberscape, or how do you call it, the vendor landscape. What is showing you, and basically what is the conclusion drawn by the industry on this slide, is that we are pretty much fragmented. So there are a lot of categories. I mean, we do have categories as an industry because we have become an industry, cybersecurity. We have categories like endpoint, firewalls, services. It's pretty fragmented. You don't really have a leader in none of the categories. There are leaders in some of them, but as Secureworks, for example, is recognized by Gartner as one in managed service providers, but the struggle is still there. So there are a lot of others that can come on top. And by the way, from the $120 billion that are spent in cybersecurity, half of them, so 60, they go only on services. And the other half is, let's call it, solutions. And now, just a picture to show you the magnitude of the cybersecurity industry compared to others. Can you find cybersecurity there? Is it? It's not, because we are too small. So on the global scale, cybersecurity is still very small. It's inexistent compared to these, of course. And you find it, you might be familiar with cryptocurrencies, which is, they say, 0.5 trillions, so they're above us. Okay, conclusions on the business analysis. So colossal values when talking about the costs, and not necessarily trustworthy, I can tell you that. Around 140 billion spending per year and increasing in cybersecurity, so global spending. 50% of this is on security operations, so services done. Global investments, about 5 billion in 2019. Skill and the workforce gap is on the rise. So we have one, a big one, a pretty big one, and it's on the rise. Security market, highly fragmented, and the worry is about the cybersecurity bubble. I'm not going to go into that because it's a very long discussion, and we don't have the proof, let's say, to demonstrate that we have a bubble or we don't have a bubble. And now on the technical assessment. You know what this is? Maybe among the old guys. This is the creeper, the first virus. This is what it was doing. I mean, just a blank screen with some text. And this is the source code. Pretty simple at that point, at that time. Now, when we talk about antivirus, or how we call it anti-malware, it's a bit more complicated. And I'm not going to go into those details. I just have some graphical representation here from our partners, Carbon Black, but it's much more complicated than that. It goes into behavioral analysis. We are way beyond detection based on signatures, so it's much more complicated. So what I wanted to emphasize is that industry is evolving. So if you look into other, the time is limited and I couldn't go into other solutions, but if you go in firewalls, evolutions also, we started from basic packet filtering to next generation firewalls that we have at this point. So there are evolutions, let's say, on each of the tools or the verticals that we have in cybersecurity as regards solutions. So these are facts from today. So how does cybersecurity looks today? So we have 3.8, this is Secureworks statistics. So 3.8 events per day, 3.8 million events per day per company, which is a lot. 50 or more security layers. And not all of them are on top of each other. You might have 10 there, 5 there, another 10 there. So 1.8 skill gap, million. 85% of the breaches could have avoided if you had patching in place. 66% of the respondents say that don't have enough employees. And 54% of them, they don't have an incident response process in place, which again is not very good. Okay. Again, cyber facts from today. So from access to detection, it takes around 111, so 111 days. If it's opportunistic malware, so malware that you can find, you know, that's for everybody, let's say, it's 73 days, so it's faster. But if it's a targeted one, it's 221 days, so slower. That's a lot of days. I mean, the attacker can do whatever they like in those days. They probably finish the job in less. Phishing, so intrusion access vectors, phishing being the most on the first place, 33%. who's paying the ransom? Apparently 32% of the victims pay the ransom, which is huge. And then we have 13%, the brave ones, that don't pay and they lost the data. And the smart ones, that refuse to pay but recover the data. So statistically speaking, not paying the ransom pays better, because you might be in the 54% one. But what is amazing is that 32% of the victims, they pay the ransom. And then we have, so we are at the chapter where we discuss about the technical assessment. So there are voices mentioning that we have kind of stopped evolving in cybersecurity for some years now, because the technologies have reached maturity and there's nowhere else to go. So then we have to borrow technology from outside, and then we go to artificial intelligence, machine learning, and quantum computing. And what is surprising is that it works in artificial intelligence. So there is a study here done on the use cases for artificial intelligence, and amazingly, cybersecurity was in the 3rd place. So what do you think we use artificial intelligence for? Any ideas? Yeah, to orchestrate? Not necessarily, but yeah, it could be there also. But mainly to shorten the response time. So for detection, for improving detection and in terms of response time. So the time, reduce the time. So something that people can do in, I don't know, hours, days, or stuff, they do it, the machine learning algorithms, they do it faster. And there are other voices that say that in the near future, we will basically solve with machine learning more than 95 to 98 of the issues that we have, so the incidents and alerts that we have, remaining at 3%, which will be also huge, so you'll still need people to solve it. Okay, takeaways. So cybersecurity is inevitable, in my opinion. So when I say cybersecurity inevitable, I mean everything. So incidents, you cannot avoid them. Investments, you have to spend money on cybersecurity. You have to hire people, because otherwise you can get out of business pretty fast. We had an exponential increase led by the digital growth. So we grew along with the internet, along with the digital growth, along with the digital expansion. So it's like we were like, I don't know how to call it in English, but we were like a kapusha, on the internet. Yeah, like a tick. So, so we have voices saying, not necessarily everybody agreeing, that we have reached the technical maturity and we have to borrow from the outside, so technologies from outside. But we still have some unbridged gaps, like the legacy protocols. So we still run on TCP/IP, which was not improved since 1982. Too many dependencies, modules, and everything is more or less too complex. When you develop an application today or any kind of systems, and you never start from scratch. You always take what was done before. So, I mean, you need that, how do you call it, putting it on the market as soon as possible. So then you need to borrow what was done from the past. And basically this what was done until now. This is also the source, the major source of the issues that we have at this point. So too much complexity, and that we are lazy enough not to rewrite the code. So in this, we almost have, think about it, we almost have 50 years of history in cybersecurity. It's 48. So in next year, or something like that, we will have 50 years of history from cybersecurity. Tremendous number. So we have grown a lot. We have grown a lot, more than the other industries, IT-related industries, maybe. As a forecast, what I can say is that I think it will become over-regulated. So we already started with the GDPR and NIS directive. Now the US is trying to copy some of the EU regulations on the market. Products and services will have to become more affordable for the masses, because cybersecurity, I mean, having incidents, having issues is disturbing. So you need to eliminate that. it's disturbing for the business, it's disturbing for your personal life, it's disturbing for everybody. So you need to remove. So then you have to give to the masses tools to protect themselves, and they have to become cheaper. Very unlikely that new revolutionary technologies will be developed strictly related to cybersecurity, but we could have a big impact from quantum computing and from machine learning. But this will affect not only cybersecurity, it will affect all branches. So we will more or less go along with the flow. So the title of the presentation was How Come We Didn't? Now the question comes, are we going to, what's your opinion? Are we going to solve cyber? Are we going to stop at some point? Or are we going to keep going and keep going and keep going until probably like this. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. So thank you. We have time for 1 or 2 questions. Yes, let's go here. Can we have the mic, please? Yes, please keep your hands up so we can see them and get you the mic.
Oh, so I'm the first.
Please stand up so we can see you and the speaker as well.
Can you go back, please, to the investment slide that you've displayed earlier?
Yeah, investment slides, please.
Sorry.
Show me the investment.
There was this decrease on 2016 versus 2015. Why do you think this happened, and is there any chance that this will happen again?
Well, I don't have the answer. Let me go to that slide.
That's the one.
Yeah, so here. Yeah, I don't have the answer on that. I didn't go as much as that into details. So I just wanted to bring out the facts and, you know, emphasize on certain stuff. I don't know, we can search it together Monday.
We'll do that. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Next question, here in the front, and then we'll take a last one after that.
Yo. First and foremost, thank you for your presentation. And I would like to ask your opinion, your thoughts in regards to the gap, the skill gap that we currently have in the cybersecurity. If you have any suggestions or thoughts for someone who wants to start a career in cybersecurity.
Well, the gap is clearly visible, as I mentioned. So I'm in Secureworks. If you search online for a job, you'll probably see Secureworks announcements every day. So we have like a continuous flow of people that we need. So we constantly need people. The gap is there. I believe at this point, even in Romania, I mean, when I started cybersecurity, 2010, doing one CERT Romania, we did not have such a big community. We did not have such big opportunities, and we did not have such good courses. I mean, basically you can do whatever you like on security now in Romania. We didn't have that in the past. I think there are a lot of opportunities, and if somebody wants to learn cybersecurity, this is the right place. Could be one of the right places, not the right place, but one of the right places. So there is hope, let's say. So you can do it. In Romania, you can do it at this point. You don't need to go outside. So I think we're done with that, going outside. I mean, I was outside and I'm done. So.
Cool. One last question here, please, the mic.
You said something about gap skills and so on. It's well known that one of the most important vulnerabilities...
I cannot hear you very well.
It's well known that one of the most important vulnerabilities sits between chair and keyboard, and then it's called human factor.
Can you repeat, please? Sorry.
It's well known that the main vulnerability, or one of the most important vulnerability, sits between chair and keyboard, and it's called human factor.
Human factor.
So, do you have some figures or strategy-related awareness because one of the most important control, preventive control, is related awareness.
Yeah.
And not only for the specialists, and also for users, usual users.
Yeah, I didn't bring anything on that, but look, in my opinion, it goes like this. You can never change humans. I mean, you can change humans, but you can change them a bit. You have to take them as they are. Technology has to become, I don't know how to call it, there is no word for that. So it has to become easy to use and secure by default and by design. So you cannot blame the human for clicking a link. I mean, you can blame some of them, but not all of them. So, I mean, you cannot blame my mother for doing this. There's no way you can do that. You can maybe blame me, but my mother, no. So.
Cool. Thank you so much, Dan. Thank you.
Thank you also.